Hello. In today's video, I will talk about the Star, which is card 17 of the Major Arcana. So, the Star, I think of this card as related to the Buddha family Ratna, which is about equanimity. It is working with the element Earth. The color is yellow or gold. And this energy is about abundance. It's about richness and fullness and abundance. The Star is in her upright position. She's working with showing up as her true self. She's about letting go of pretense and being true and raw and honest and present and just like totally and utterly just naturally who she is. She's completely naked, and so there's this element of like exposure, but it's like this exposure to the true self. In her reversed position, she's working with an inflated sense of self, and so she's either filled with ego or feeling hollow, feeling this loss of a sense of self and this inability to connect with and find one's integrity and truth. When she loses touch with the abundance and richness of her being, she goes into this kind of neurotic state and has this like she's filled with like air or hollowness or I often think of her as kind of like inflated with this kind of hollow, shallow, like she's inflated with air or something. Like there's this lack of substance to her. I often think of this card in relation to the Hermit, where I think of the Star as like the female counterpart to the Hermit, where he too is working with like this abundance of like one's being and not needing this external kind of either glamour or gratification or this external recognition of one's abundance or value. She's working with a very similar energy, but where the Hermit is kind of going off, getting away from society to a certain extent, kind of going off into seclusion, she's very much in the open. The Hermit kind of has his cloak on and he's just kind of like, going off and minding his business. She is like right there in the open and totally naked. And so her presence is more like, I don't want to say in your face because it's not quite like aggressive. It's just she's totally in her being wherever that is, wherever she is. And doesn't have this need for this external kind of recognition or gratification. Her abundance is coming from within, and it doesn't need to come from like adorning herself with jewels or, glamorous things to wear or fancy cars or, a luxurious house. She just kind of has that presence within. She's similar also to the Empress in this fullness of being. And I think that the two of these women are working with a very similar energy. This aspect of this energy isn't so much like this pregnant kind of abundant energy. It's more like the fullness of being and the presence of one's being and this kind of raw, unadulterated presence. It's like this being very comfortable in her skin and being very comfortable with her natural, pure existence. And so I often think of her in that way, just like pure being and the richness and fullness of that, as being the upright position of this card. She went through many changes. On paper, it was purely just the stars. And when it went into electronic form, it was the stars, and her development was kind of painful in many ways. When it went into card format, I actually don't remember what she was like before she went into card format. I think it may have just been stars. When it went into card format, it felt like it needed this presence of being. And she went through many, many changes before she kind of shed this external shell and emerged as she is today. The position of her body changed, her hair changed many times, her skin color changed many times. The position of her head and face changed many, many times. And once she arrived as she is now, it was like this relief, like finally she arrived, finally she showed up. But the process was like, it felt like peeling layers and layers and layers of mask off of her. I think that's significant to this card in that the layers felt like working with the neurotic aspect of this card, or the neurotic aspect of this particular energy, where it's, the inflated sense of self is like this kind of mask and this inability to really connect with the internal fullness of being. And she was kind of bringing me into that kind of quality of this energy and of like the neurosis of this energy when it is having trouble connecting with its own kind of center or its own existence. And instead it is like covered with jewels or education or ideals, or like it's just covered with all of this stuff in order to mask the self, rather than using those things to kind of enhance or bring out or celebrate the self. And so these different faces, these different skin tones, the different hairstyles all felt like it was pieces of masks that were being shed. Once she arrived as she is now, there was nothing more that needed to happen. It was like, oh, finally she arrived, and it was like, okay, she's complete, and I was able to move on. But she took a lot of time and a lot of energy to show up. Yeah. I can't think of what else to say about her right now. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more I need to say about her. The next card will be card 18, which is the moon, and I look forward to sharing that video with you soon. Thank you.